Hello, super animals, feathered, furred and scaled. My name is Shifty, and welcome to SAR-cap. In this edition of SAR-cap, I'll be going over the May Mooseletter, the monthly newsletter and development blog by Pixile Studios. This gives some much needed insight on the super animal world, outlines the plans for the current game modes, introduces us to new NPCs in the upcoming expansion, a questions and answers segment, and a Fanart showcase for community ranked competition. As introduced in my last newsletter, on screen is a feel for how the expansion is progressing. Core gameplay and mechanics are sitting comfortably at about 92%. At this stage, Pixar has been putting most of their energy into storytelling, quest design, and polishing the metagame. Content and quests are now around 35% complete, thanks mainly due to progress in quest writing. The early quests have been polished and main storyline has been steadily moving forward, whilst new quest types are being implemented and tested. On the game design side, the team has pulled together a full metagame design document. This covers the current systems, the planned updates, and additions for the expansion, and the remaining tasks needed to lock in the key elements for launch. Social and friend features are seeing solid progress too, sitting at about 50%. This also ties into an important engine update. Things are looking strong on PC while console fixes are still being worked on. Lastly, user interface and user experience are sitting at a comfortable 70% complete. The big focus here is on overhauling the game screens, with most of them moving into implementation. That includes redesigned interfaces like the shops, animal passes, and the main menu. For the longest time, Super Animal Royale's core modes have been polished and improved since release, and it's great to hear they're continuing to expand on them with the introduction of the Social Hub. It will be designed to support and enhance all the modes whilst laying foundations for future ones, acting as the central focal point to tie them all together. Battle Royale remains the most developed mode with almost 8 years of love and care given to it. Pixel aims to keep the loot pool full of balanced and fun items to use, while remaining open for changes and twists. For the expansion, the game mode will remain true to how it is now, while improving accessibility and introducing new and meaningful content to deepen the experience. There will also be significant additions to the island itself, but to avoid spoiling the fun, it will be down to us to find them once the expansion launches. Once Super Animal World drops, The Walking Dead has been at the top of the list for a major revamp, similar to how SAR vs Rebellion was in 2022, in an attempt to push the mode further and become more engaging. Two areas that will receive focus are the pacing of matches by encouraging movement around the island to keep them dynamic, and the experience of playing as a Zombie Joe with new tools to pressure the survivors and shift the momentum. For SAR vs Rebellion, it's grown into a great middle ground for new players due to the low pressure, low stakes environment to familiarise themselves with the weapons and movement thanks to 5 classes and the quick respawn times. Pixel aims to work on balance and tweaks, changes to Twinkle the Star-Nosed Mole, and look for new locations for maps as the island continues to evolve, continuing the focus on improving the mode to become more strategic, satisfying and fun. Finally, the earliest and least developed game mode, Mystery Mode. This mode needs a lot of work as it is currently not too exciting or replayable. New modes should be deep and fun enough to have a permanent place in the game, and the existing formats will be refined and expanded upon. Progress won't be made until after the expansion is launched, but there are already ideas on the air for this mode's future. Introducing Sergeant O'Prey, the Commander of the Skies and CEO of Giant Eagle Airlines. This Super Eagle is who invites us to ride the majestic giant eagles and is serious about keeping those birdies in the air, which is why he initiates new Super Animal Royale recruits ready for battle. He is the main point of contact for many of the Battle Royale related questions within the Social Hub, and one of many new characters we'll get to meet in Super Animal World. Over on Blue Sky and Twitter, Pixel asked the community for questions to answer within the newsletter, and I've selected a handful to answer for this month's edition. If you have any burning questions you want an answer to, be sure to check out Pixile Studio over on their Blue Sky and Twitter. On Twitter, the Cravey asks, what considerations go into balance, and have there been any surprises in something not turning out as expected? Pixel responds, we always try to make sure something feels fun and balance is second. It's so much easier to adjust the numbers on something that already feels good than to try to make a perfectly balanced but boring item feel exciting. That said, we tend to err on the side of caution. Our goal is to avoid anything new completely overtaking the meta, so we often start conservatively and tune up if needed. After something is added, we listen closely to community feedback and watch how players adapt over time. That qualitative feedback is then paired with data to help us both understand how strong something feels and how it's actually performing. Both perceived and numerical strength are important in creating a fun experience. In most cases, new weapons and mechanics have landed pretty close to expectations, but there are always surprises. Sometimes players find creative uses we haven't anticipated, or a weapon ends up stronger or weaker than expected in live matches. Either way, we love watching how the community engages with new tools, and we're always ready to make adjustments when needed. I think Pixile has the right idea by focusing on fun before balance. It's much easier to fine-tune something that already feels good than to force excitement into a perfectly balanced system. Over time though, as other features get updated and adjusted, new imbalances naturally appear, so ongoing tweaks will always be needed. Starting cautiously makes sense too, since it helps prevent anything new from completely taking over the meta, and it's always interesting seeing how player creativity manages to surprise the devs, proving there's always more depth to discover once things go live.
Post-release, what are some features, new game modes, community suggestions, or other general ideas you'd like to look into? Mentioning something that piqued the interest of the dev team is not a promise to fulfill that thing, by the way. It'd just be cool to hear what turn heads.
Pixile answers, getting Super Animal World into players' hands as soon as possible means we're prioritising the core features first, but we've also been building up a large backlog of post-launch ideas we can't wait to dig into. Updates to The Walking Dead and Mystery Mode are high on that list, along with some exciting new mechanics, potential new game modes, and quality of life features. Ranked is another topic that's come up both within the team and the community. With how skilled many of you become, it's easy to see the appeal of a more competitive format. At the same time, we know it's a tricky subject, and we want to keep the game experience friendly and accessible. We're exploring ways to scratch that competitive itch without fragmenting the community or losing the game's lighthearted spirit. No promises yet, but it's something we're actively considering for after Super Animal World. The fact there's a backlog of ideas for the team to start working on once the expansion drops gets me excited for the future of the game after so long with no content-packed updates. As with Ranked, it is one of those features that sounds great on paper, but in practice I don't think could work well at the moment. The main issue is dividing the players across different modes, especially since the community is already on the smaller side, with the expansion adding new social features like quests, fishing, bug catching, and hamster wheel racing. Players will be naturally spread out across more activities at any given time. With this said, it's not impossible. Rank could have a place further down the line as the game grows with more content updates and expansions, but looking at the current state of the game and the near future, it just isn't there right now.
Blue Sky asked the question, will there be a new LTM mode introduced into the cycle? Will there be new weapons introduced, or will that be too hard due to the already large variety in the pool? Pixile responded by saying, designing new game modes is something we're always thinking about and discussing as a team. Super Animal World introduces hamster ball racing, bug catching, and fishing, which offer a fresh type of experience, but we're excited to add more traditional new game modes in the future. We ran a community survey a while back, and that came back with a ton of great suggestions. We'll be building up a list of our own too that expands upon that. This is really good because, the game needs more game modes. I think it just being the Battle Royale and the 2 rotating game modes that people don't always like is just not the best for the game, and more variety will keep people on the game more, which is a good thing.
On Blue Sky, Amethyst asks, are we going to get more of the Walking Dead related clothing or weapons? Maybe even an emote? Pixel responds, themed cosmetics for our limited time modes are a great idea and definitely on our radar. Saw vs Rebellion already has a milestone reward, and we'd love to build them out with more cosmetics for it and The Walking Dead. Maybe even an emote or two. More cosmetics based on limited time modes would be great to tie them in with the community as more than just a mode to play, but a mode to experience and engage in aesthetically and for the lore. You already see players dressing up as Rebellions or the SAR forces, for example. On Blue Sky, Crowley asks, are you planning to do any major weapon or upgrade changes, like the Impossible Tape or Cupgrade? Pixar responds, definitely something we're interested in. We'd like to take a broader look at the full power-up system and how it could be improved, both as a whole and on an item-by-item basis. We'd also love to hear the community's thoughts on what you'd like to see added or adjusted. We're always thinking about weapons too. A few have grown more complex than we'd like, and we're exploring ways to make the effects feel clearer and more satisfying, without losing their unique flavour. One we're already eyeing is the Sparrow Launcher. It was designed to be a step up from the Bow and Sparrow, but it doesn't see as much use as the other guns. We love the concept of a tracking weapon, and we think there's room to help it feel more distinctive, whether through stat changes or reworked functionality. It's a great candidate for a deeper look. Right now, most items have their own uses, strengths and drawbacks, but some clearly stand out as stronger in most situations, while others barely get considered. There's definitely room to tweak the existing items to make them feel more balanced or worth picking up. For example, the zipline often feels pretty useless and the shotgun's power could be reworked. For this month's showcase, the artwork that is shown were all submitted to a community fan art contest hosted by Atlas, Bearkable, Rookie, Sailor07 and Garlic Bread, with the prompt "Peace and Love on the Battlefield." I'm incredibly impressed by what the community can do and the events that get organised by the players. And this has been SAR-cap. Thank you for listening and keep fighting, super animals.